Let's talk about the thesis of Black Mirror. I finished season 7 last night, spoilers if you haven't seen all the episodes. 3 of the episodes this season, USS Callister Into Infinity, Plaything, and Hotel Reverie, all sort of involve this idea of digital sentience, right? This idea of what does it mean to be alive, who gets to be alive, who gets to decide if you are thinking, breathing, feeling, and if you are like a person, right? In USS Callister Into Infinity, all of these people are trapped inside this digital world. They are not really digital avatars, right? Like the first episode, or the episode that this is a sequel of in season 4, explicitly made a point to tell us that they are alive, right? They have been digitally cloned like into the computer, but they are people that are just trapped in this like internet world. Both the original and the sequel sort of play with this idea of what it means to have agency and what it means to decide things for yourself, or when agency is taken from you, right? Especially through the lens of Nanette, a female game coder who is terrorized by Robert Daly in both episodes across the seasons. Hotel Reverie plays with this by having us understand that the Emma Corrin character is a sort of digital representation of the actress mixed in with the character, right? She has like become this weird fusion of everything that the actress brought to the character while also only existing within the confines of this world. And it's interesting because Issa, we can't talk about Issa right now, but like Issa is sort of like, is she alive? Is she not alive? Is she real? Is she not real? Very Hunger Games. And it's like, yes and no, but it's obvious that when you put it together with the other themes of the season, that Black Mirror is leaning towards yes, right? This idea that like just because something isn't flesh and blood, it's not alive. If you know you're alive, the like, sort of the goal of the Turing test, right? With like AI, like if an AI understands that it's alive, then is it still AI? The tragedy is that Emma Corrin's character is like stuck in this digital stasis and they're doomed to repeat this storyline over and over again, right? Even if Issa is talking to them on the phone, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're ever going to break out of this like prison that they're in. Plaything was terrifying to me as someone who is terrified of AI, right? This like singularity event where human consciousness, like the bad ending is this ending where we are all fused into the hive mind, right? We all lose our like ability to think and speak for ourselves because we are trapped within the world of these creatures. But it explicitly makes a point of telling us that the creatures are alive, right? Again, similar to the other 2 episodes, even though they exist in this digital world or on the computer, they're still like thinking and breathing and feeling. At the end of USS Callister Into Infinity, the ending is left sort of ambiguous as to whether it's a good ending or a bad ending because the digital representations or the clones are trapped inside Nanette's head, right? Nanette gets to leave and like exist in her real body outside where the rest of them are like still in there, right? And we saw that before in Black Museum at the end of season 4, one of my favorite episodes. Very divisive, but very, very good. Black Museum was a horror episode about a lot of the technology that we had seen before, but one of the big things that existed in this episode is that this like technology where you are able to sort of clone people, have them inside your brain, and like they can see but they can't act, right? All of their agency has been removed. They have been like sort of enslaved. Bête Noire is especially interesting because it uses a lot of our real world microaggressions to set us in this like fantastical world where obviously Verity is like controlling reality, but she's still using real reality to terrorize Maria, right? I've seen a lot of the discourse, and I'm not going to get into the racial politics of it, of like Maria deserved it, Maria was bad because she like seemed like a mean girl. We've talked about it 100 times on this page. Like a lot of internalized misogyny or just misogyny in general comes from this like mean girl loophole where you are allowed to say whatever you want because you feel like a girl is unpleasant and it's really fucked up. But no one is a perfect victim, right? And we see that over and over again in society, that like if you think that just because you don't like someone, they deserve everything that happens to them, that's like where a lot of racism comes from. But the thesis of all of these episodes is that the worst thing that can happen to you is having your agency removed, having no control over your body, having no control over your life, having no say in what you see or do or feel or act. And I feel like if you're paying attention, it's very obvious the point that I'm making, but like it's fascinating to me that people can't make the connection of Bête Noire and understand that it's about racism and not understand that a lot of Black Mirror, a lot of the fears that Charlie Brooker, not Booker. A lot of the fears that Charlie Brooker is experiencing and sort of projecting onto us are things that have already happened to Black people and people in the diaspora across the world. the idea of slavery, the idea of losing your mind, the idea of losing your body, the idea of not being able to control anything about your life, all of these things are very prominent this season in Black Mirror. And it's like a lot of the criticism that a lot of like people of color have around science fiction is that like this stuff has already happened to us. And this isn't a criticism. I love the show, but I think it's so interesting that he is trying to like tell us something very explicit. And then in this country, a lot of people like refuse to understand how bad slavery was. And they tell Black people, oh, get over it. It was 200 years ago or 300 years ago, whatever. And it's like, look, watch the show where he is telling us something very clear, right? The torture, the kidnapping, people's pain for human pleasure, right? Being controlled, being trapped somewhere that you don't want to be, having no say over what you do, having your individuality stripped away. All of these things are nightmares. We see that over and over and over and over again in Black Mirror in season 4, season 5, season 6, season 7, and especially this season where obviously he's doing it with like a digital avatar, but look at everything that I said in this video, pay attention and like see what is Charlie Brooker actually afraid of. And I think I have more to say on this, so I will definitely be writing about this on Substack, but yeah.